Hello YouTube. Today I'm going to talk about one of the most anticipated games of the year and give my perspective and opinion on if it's worth checking out or not. Let's get into it. No Man's Sky is developed and published by an indie game development company called Hello Games. The company is based out of Guildford, England and has 15 employees. They announced No Man's Sky at the 2013 VGX Awards show, and over time hype began mounting for the game, most notably from late 2015 into 2016 until the game launched. The game was also delayed for a few months for fixes and polish, which ramped up the hype train even more. No Man's Sky is referred to as an action-adventure survival game, in which the user awakens next to their crashed spacecraft and needs to gather resources to repair their ship. The game touts having over 18 quintillion planets, with the main appeal being procedural generation. For the rest of the video, I'm just going to assume you know what the game is about. I don't want to waste any more time explaining it. I want to clarify that I played this game on PC and my opinion is going to be on that version of the game. The PS4 experience is likely similar in many respects, but the PC version will be the focus of this video. Straight off the bat, No Man's Sky, it was botched launch for PC. Many people reported terrible frame rates, stuttering, crashes, even on very powerful hardware. The reviews on Steam, GOG, Metacritic all reflect this. I personally had performance issues initially, but after adjusting the configuration file, I was able to get stable frame rates at 60 plus FPS with a GTX 970. I'm not going to focus too heavily on the shit PC performance because it may be patched eventually, and I did not personally have much of a performance hit from the game. Essentially, the game is a shitty console port, and I'll dig in deeper to explain this. First off, the menus are garbage. You can't change graphical settings and apply them, you have to close and restart the game. No matter what resolution you play at, the entire game looks like it is upscaled from 900p. The FOV slider is a joke. The claustrophobic camera can only be alleviated by changing the configuration file. I changed mine to 180, which is somewhere around 90 FOV for normal games. Yet another oversight from the dev team is those with large resolution displays. UI elements appear huge on their screens, for example, and if you up your FOV so you're not stuck in the claustrophobic view, some of the game gets bugged out, like warping. Half your ship disappears during the warp. There's no way to disable the terrible grain pop-in effect or adjust draw distance. To activate anything in the menu or the game itself, you have to hold the button down. The entire menu system is clunky and obviously designed for a controller. One of the major problems with games that are ported from consoles is that the developers straight up neglect those of us that play on PC and want options. The more options in the menu, the better. Detailed graphical settings, detailed sound settings, detailed input settings. The game also feels to have mouse acceleration built in, but this cannot be disabled in the menus or the config file. For most PC gamers, these shitty menus are a disaster, and a pretext to what else this game is doing wrong. So you spawn next to your ship on a randomly generated planet, and need to gather material to repair it. After about 20 minutes in the game, you realize your inventories are too small. We'll come back to this later. So you gather all your resources, repair your ship, and zoom, you're off the planet. Now you're flying in space, and the controls are ass. I played a lot of space games in my 25 years of gaming, and this game, hands down, has some of the worst flight controls of any space game I have ever played. It's unresponsive and slow, it's downright frustrating and legitimately drains the fun from being able to fly around in the middle of space. You will meet alien NPCs as you play the game, and they vary depending on the star system. You learn their language, and you gain a reputation with them. The game does have some music, but it's ambient and often blends into monotony. There was maybe one or two times where the music came up into the mix and I thought to myself, hey, that sounds pretty good, but it quickly fades. The main problem with No Man's Sky is from the very beginning it's quite clear that your objective in this game is to attempt to make the game more enjoyable in the future. Tired of running out of inventory space in your exosuit? Better go mine and save up money so you can buy more inventory slots from drop pods. Tired of not having enough space in your ship? Better go out farm, save up money so you can buy a ship with more space. Tired of your miner laser lasting a few seconds before it overheats? Better keep looking endlessly for blueprints until you can upgrade the laser to where it isn't a complete piece of trash. Jumping between planets and the star system is exciting at first. I would say for the first several hours or so. After a while, you'll begin to see a pattern. Each planet is the same with a reskin. Sure, the colors are different, maybe one planet is more harmful than another, but eventually you realize it's the same shit, different toilet. When you begin bouncing from planet to planet, you may use a bypass chip on a beacon to mark points of interest around you, monoliths, colonial outposts, shelters, etc. There is currently a feature in the game where you can use a bypass chip repeatedly and unlock as many points of interest around you as you want. Be advised though, when you do this, even if you fly to another star system and you have points of interest you haven't gone to yet, you'll see the waymarks on another planet. So you could be in another star system on another planet and you still see waymarks from the planet you were at before. This brings me to my next major point. The game is an immersion killer in the truest sense of the term. The robot voice is incredibly annoying. Every few minutes you hear life support low. When you go look at your life support system, it's at 75%. This isn't low. Stop interrupting the gameplay for worthless notifications. Every time you repair your ship, exosuit, tools, or weapons, you will hear the robot voice. Every time you sell something, you will hear the robot voice. Every time you craft something, you will hear the robot voice. It spams itself continuously. There is no option to turn it off. The milestones you reach in the game, such as walking a set distance or meeting X amount of aliens, will interrupt the gameplay with black cinematic bars and text covering your screen where you can't click or continue to play. You just have to wait for it to pass. This happens more frequently than you would think. It happens enough to cause immense irritation. You never really get to feel immersed in the game at any point. There's always something there to interrupt you and break any immersion that you may have had. This game has been touted as a survival game, which in the most bland terms I suppose it is. You have to survive on an alien planet, keep your exosuit and ship repaired. However, there is no struggle in the game. There's no looming sense of danger. Just an updated version of Pokemon Snap where you can catalog every life form on the planet, find all the outposts that look the same, and then fly to another planet and do it again. For a moment, let's talk about a game that did the single-player survival thing right, Subnautica. In this game, you have to keep yourself fed and hydrated. You have to defend yourself from enemies. You gain a sense of straightforward progression as you move away from the starting area and learn more crafting recipes. When you discover new areas in Subnautica, it is exciting and terrifying. Traveling to the depths of the ocean can reward you with new resources or new terrifying enemies. In No Man's Sky, there's no real progression. Yes, you can improve your suit, weapons, ship, but it feels hollow and without direction. Another very lacking feature in No Man's Sky is crafting. In order to craft, you have to have a free slot in your inventory. This is complete garbage. There is no dedicated crafting menu, and you are tied to the same trash inventory screens you will learn to hate with repeated usage. Now, to be fair, there are a few things I liked about No Man's Sky. I enjoyed the mining with the laser. Space mining is nothing new, but this is a cool feature. What I didn't enjoy was a constant overheating of the mining laser. That in itself nearly kills the whole fun of gathering resources altogether. I also like the fact you could easily transport material from your exosuit to the ship without having to manually go back and forth. Ideas like this are what really can make a game better. It's just too bad there was so much holding the rest of the game back. The procedural generation is hollow. All the planets feel the same. The more you play, the more monotonous it becomes. What really could have saved this game was multiplayer and base building. The best game to compare No Man's Sky to is Subnautica. Similarly, because it's a single-player exploration game, but something Subnautica has and No Man's Sky doesn't is base building. Gather up those resources, make an awesome underwater base, store your resources, prepare for your next big crafting recipe. If No Man's Sky was released on PC only, it would be an early access title selling for around $20. In truth, that's probably all that this game is worth. It lacks polish and options, especially on PC. If you're on PS4, this is probably a more likely buy for you since consoles get maybe 2 to 3 above average games a year. And I have a PS4, so don't get pissed at me saying that. If you're on the fence about getting this game for PC, take my advice, don't. Go play Subnautica instead. It's a much better game in almost every respect. Crafting is fun, more inventory space is plentiful, you'll have a sense of wonder and excitement as you explore, all of which is blatantly missing from No Man's Sky. If you're dead set on buying it, go ahead. Honestly, it's nowhere near worth $60. It's a repackaged indie title with a AAA distributor. It's worth $20 to $30 at most. I hope this helped anyone out there wondering about the game. Thanks for watching. and take care.